Anger, of course, is a very good emotion, just like, and kind of like pain. If you think about pain, they often talk about pain being a good emotion, I mean a feeling, a physical feeling, because let's say you're about to touch something that's hot, well, it's causing you pain, you don't keep your hand on it, right? You don't go, oh, gee, I'm getting burned. It's, oh my gosh, and the reaction is to pull away from that, right? Well, anger is often a protective tool to get us to feel what we really want and what's really going on and see, oh gosh, are my needs being met here? And whose responsibility is it to meet those needs? Is it that person who I have made an agreement with who flaked on me? And so I can be in my anger about that? Or is it my responsibility, one, to recognize I never should have set the agreement to begin with this person, right? So because they probably were going to flake on me anyway. Two would be to be, okay, what do I do with this? Now that I recognize this isn't happening, I can stew in the anger, or I can, call the person and say, this really wasn't working for me, and how can we resolve this? Or you can just get over it. Okay. So a simple tool is to, hold the center point and just breathe into that. Journaling is another great way to deal with anger. Honestly, I don't usually journal when I'm feeling real great. It's not like, oh yeah, life is wonderful. It's usually, oh my God, I can't believe, blah, 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 blah. And I just totally purge and process it that way. And of course, friendships, calling up somebody who can hold your anger, who can really hold space for you while you're ranting and raving. Loneliness is a really tricky one right now. Right now, we are probably feeling lonelier than we ever have. What's happening is we are going through this so-called, birth canal, or some have described it as the wormhole, or whatever you want to describe it as, this sort of what I call sort of no man's land. Here's the old paradigm. Here's the energy that we have been living in and have been used to. Here's the new, and what you're in is right here. Okay, so you are sensing the density and all the crap of the old, and you can see the picture of the new, and you're not necessarily in one or the other, you're in both. And what's happening is each time something happens that's intense, you're getting a contraction. It's squeezing around you, the walls are squeezing around you, and you're kind of in there all alone. And it can feel very lonely, very isolating, very scary at times. So again, this is where you need to take responsibility. Sometimes, however, you want to be not in the loneliness, so to speak, but alone, to allow the aloneness so that you're with self, not by yourself, but with self, to really appreciate that which you are and who you are, and really hold space for you. In terms of the needing to reach out for others, by all means, again, find people that connect with you. One of the hardest parts about what we're going through right now is that you're not necessarily matching up or lining up with people that you used to line up with. And so it's like, you're not seeing me, you're not getting me, I'm shifting so much, I've got all these new thoughts and ideas, and who are these people that I'm hanging around with? They're kind of stuck in their problems, and how do we shift out of that? So what I really recommend is to step out and try new things. Coming to a psychic fair like this, that's one way to step out and be around people. A monthly group that's called Fun with Readings, it's very casual, and sure, it's a night for the students to practice doing readings with others, but more importantly, it's to connect with somebody who gets them, to really see eye to eye and be in the same room and talk to the same language and feel like they're seen and sane. So it's really important to start really looking at who it is you are resonating with and where you want to start to veer away from and what you want to start to cultivate and create. So it doesn't have to be a new age thing. It doesn't have to be something, but it's whatever your joy or your passion is, where you can truly be who you are, and be safe with that. And now, tired is fatiguing us, isn't it, right now? Isn't everybody like exhausted 24/7? What's happening pattern-wise is that most of us are not getting a good night's sleep. Either you're sleeping so heavy that you're not moving, it's sort of like the drool coming out throughout the whole night, and you didn't even know that the night happened, or you're waking up a lot throughout the night and not knowing why. And so then it's like, okay, get up, go do something, okay, or maybe I read a book. And so our sleep patterns are really crazy right now. And so I don't have a lot of advice around that, except for when you're tired, take a nap. Give yourself permission to take a nap during the daytime. If it's 20 minutes, so be it. There have been times literally where I've gone somewhere. I have 4 children, did I say? Anyway, we'll go somewhere, let's say I'm taking them to an appointment or whatever, and I'll turn off the engine, sleep in the car, and if that's what I get, that's what I get. So really taking the time when you can, if it's at your work going out to lunch, your lunch break and sleeping in the car, then take it when you can. In terms of evening, of course, they have lots of remedies out there that you could take. I don't know, I tend to drink chamomile tea with some milk in it, to help me, and trying to avoid the caffeine, etc. Not that I need caffeine, but nonetheless, trying to avoid being tired, but more importantly, rather than getting a good night's sleep, is to really ease up on yourself. What's happening as you are waking up so quickly, can you imagine all that's going on within you? If you think about it, babies are growing at enormous rates. The only energy they have is enough for them to sleep and eat. Sleep and eat. Because they are growing so quickly, right? Well, that's what's happening to you on a consciousness level. And that's why you're exhausted. And if all you can do is sleep and eat, so be it. Unfortunately, we don't have a mom and dad taking care of us who can allow us to just sleep and eat all day. However, recognizing it will give you a little bit of permission, hopefully, to allow it whenever possible. Okay? So recognizing that it is normal at this time to be exhausted and trying to ease up on yourself, start delegating, don't volunteer for everything, don't sign up for this, don't try to push too much in that. Really try to eliminate as much as you can off of your plate. Some people may be looking to get a new job, this or that. Fine, get a new job if it has the same amount of work and better money, but don't try to bite off anymore at this point. And those are all sort of basics. Don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sort of fundamentals. Now let's go into this idea of indulging in self-care. So what is it to be indulgent? Well, in our culture, we tend to see it as, oh gosh, that means addictions, that means, too much. Yeah, well, is there such thing as too much joy, pure essence joy? Not, running around amok and, having fun and who cares what other people think and who do I hurt in the process, but pure joy. There's really no limit to the amount of joy. The only limit that there is what we place on ourselves. Oh, well, we're not allowed to be in too much joy. In fact, you know what? Honestly, I can feel when I shut myself off from too much bliss. It's like, oh, well, that's over. I can't do that any longer. There's that initial fear of being too much of ourselves, too much of our essence of who we are. Who might we hurt in the process? Well, who could you hurt? If everybody did exactly the one thing that brought them pure joy in the exact same moment on planet Earth, for that moment there would be peace on Earth. So can you imagine if you did it the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment? So for now, focusing on the idea of self-care, I'll bring it into this idea of focusing it on the body. What I recommend to people right now, and I don't know anybody who actually does pedicure, so I'm not getting paid to say this. However, this is one of the things I recommend to a lot of people. Do you know why? You are sitting in your throne when you are getting a pedicure, male or female. You can get pedicures with paint, without paint, doesn't matter. You're sitting in your throne. You're on this chair, there's somebody at your feet. How noble is that? We are trying to step into our own, grandness. Allow it in some sort of form, okay? Then you have your feet in what? Water. All these emotions supporting you, allowing that warmth of the water. Sometimes they'll do nice scrubs, scrubbing off all the slough that you've been through, all the hardships that you've walked, scrubbing those feet, blessing those feet that have carried you from day to day. It is heaven. And sometimes they'll have that little machine that does the massage at the same time, and that's when I read those trashy magazines. I don't have a television in my home, and so I don't know who half these people are, but it's sure fun to read. It lets my mind just go into pure nothingness without having to, or crap, or whatever you want to call it, for pure fun, and not having to think and be any greater than I already am, right? Because sometimes being grand is hard, but you can be grand in your throne while somebody's taking care of your feet and loving you and reading trashy magazines or whatever you want. Sometimes I'll bring an iPod or do little games, or sometimes I'll actually take my nap. Take that little nap. And they know when you're sleeping, and they'll usually not bother you. And I don't care if you spend $10 or $50, but if you can just once a month even, the polish will last about a month, just allow someone to just love your feet. If it's not somebody you pay, have somebody you know.